And the other thing that has been a hot topic just recently is this situation involving Amazon Prime members. There's about 220 million Prime members. And, with a population and pool that big, it was really only a matter of time before the bad actors figured out a way to target them.
You're listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
And welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm your host, Kerry Lutz. Well, it's the end of July here. We got stuff happening in credit that I thought you needed to know about. Our good friend Paul Oster from A Better Credit is with us now. Paul, it's great to have you back on the show. What's going on in the credit arena?
So there's a couple of different things. I think it's important to note that the current administration has reversed an earlier ruling that removed medical debt from people's credit reports. So that situation is going to be very troublesome for millions of consumers that had those collection accounts removed from their credit report, only to now, be put back on. So this has been a political football, kind of like student loans has been back and forth with the debt forgiveness. But nobody was asking for these medical debts to be forgiven. They came to a really good decision and decided that it wasn't right for consumers to continue to suffer, for lack of a better word, even more from having these medical debts on their credit reports, which then would wind up costing them more money for every other financial transaction. So this is not a situation where people, bought an RV or a jet ski or a boat and then couldn't afford it. These were people that got sick, and health is still the number one reason why people claim bankruptcy in the first place. Sure. Being able to afford the health care that they needed. So this is, not elective surgeries and things like that. This was situations where people got sick. They incurred some crazy bills and they got sent to collections. So I'm not a fan. I'm not happy that the current administration decided to reverse gears and put these things back on the consumer reports.
Yeah. It just seems like you're just kind of adding insult to injury,
Yep. And the other thing that has been a hot topic just recently is this situation involving Amazon Prime members. There's about 220 million Prime members. And, with a population and pool that big, it was really only a matter of time before the bad actors figured out a way to target them. So Prime members have been victims and targets of, the three issues: vishing, which is phone calls, phishing with a P-H, which is email, and smishing, which is SMS text messaging. So the bad actors are targeting these Prime members. They're getting text messages, emails, phone calls about Prime membership renewals, about their accounts being suspended, things like that. And when they click on a link or open an email and click on a link to, supposedly they're being taken to their account to update payment information, again, update their account information. They could be targeting them with a product that wasn't sent to them. It's called brushing, or they send a product that the client didn't order and then follow up with them directly to try and resolve that issue. The problem is if you click on any of those links, you're going to be redirected to a website that, has malware and viruses and things like that are going to then either log into your accounts that are open on your electronic devices, or they're going to ask you to provide personal information to update the accounts. So the message, again, pun intended, the message here is don't do it, right? If in all of these messages, the one commonality all of these messages have is this sense of urgency, right? They're threatening messages. Kerry, you need to act immediately or your Prime membership's going to get suspended. Kerry, there's a problem with your payment. We see here, it looks like there's fraud happening on your account. So they're trying to get the people to act in haste, which then leads to, the actual identity theft. So if you get any of those messages, the easiest thing to do is just go to Amazon, go to your account, log in, and click on the messages. And if there's a message from Amazon, that's where it would be. So again, the problem is you get people in the middle of life, right? Life is happening all over, and they do something that they shouldn't do, and that's click one of the links, provide information over the phone, or typing information into one of these websites.
Right. Yeah, and it seems like legit. It looks legit. That's why you always have to look at who the sender of this item is, right?
Yeah. So verifying the sender's email address is definitely one of the steps here. And like you said, these emails, whether it's from a bank or Amazon, they look real. They look authentic. So one of the other things is to make sure that whether you're a Prime member or if you do anything online, you need to engage two-step authentication. That's one of the easiest ways to avoid being a victim, having someone else logging in, to one of your accounts. Even if they get your username and password, in order to log in, the second step is going to be to send an email or a text message. So if they don't have your phone or they haven't figured out how to redirect a text message that's supposed to be coming to you, they won't be able to complete that last step. So look, we've been saying this for years. You have to change all of your passwords to passphrases. You have to change your passwords, passphrases on a regular basis. You can't use the same passphrase with the same email for all of your accounts because you are just begging to become a victim. They have softwares now. One of the things that we know from this particular scam is when they redirect you to one of these websites, the software can actually figure out what your password is and the email associated with it. If you use the same password, yeah. So if you use the same password or passphrase and email for all of your other accounts, that's how this malware and virus works, because now they'll have access to your computer, and it'll be very, very easy for them to log into all of the other accounts that are connected to those devices. So, it's not easy, right? You have to use a password manager where you're going to have to write these passwords down somewhere in a secure location. But using a password manager is one of the best ways to help you try and figure this out. Other than that, the average person now has easily 20 different passwords and usernames. It's probably 50, 100, some people.
I wish I only had 20. I have like 1,300,
Exactly. So just impossible to try and manage those usernames and passwords without using a password manager.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. You have to use one. Always use two-factor authentication. And what else? There's one other thing that you need to be doing here. Make sure your phone doesn't get spoofed.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, and I think we spoke about this the last time, and I'm not always the most popular person in the room because I tend to hold the consumer, right, the victim, quote unquote, somewhat responsible for being in that situation. We've all sacrificed a tremendous amount of our privacy, our data security for convenience. And the easiest way, the best example there is when you open up a new account or you download a new app, whether it's for your banking or your Amazon account, when you create your login, username and password, a little blip is going to pop up and it's going to say, "Hey, Kerry, would you like us to remember your password so you don't have to?"
Yeah.
If you do that and someone gains access to one of your electronic devices, they can log into your accounts remotely in seconds and literally wipe out your accounts.
Mm-hmm. This is true. Very true. So, and when you use a password manager, it'll generate a unique password for every account. So there's no more using your standard password, right?
Absolutely. And those computer generated passwords, passphrases are very, very difficult for these coders and programs to crack the code, right? They have, again, softwares that decipher passwords in milliseconds. If you use a passphrase, it could take days. So what happens is if the software hits on a computer generated passphrase or password, or you've created a very, very strong passphrase, the software is going to jump to the next person who still, Gary, I just heard this the other day and I thought, again, we were getting better at this, but we're not. The most common, widely used passwords are still hello, 123, goodbye, 456. So any of those combinations of password is one of the most commonly used passwords. So if you're using anything like that at all, again, you need to change your behavior because you're going to become a victim. It's only a matter of when, not if. The fastest growing crime past couple of years has been and is going to continue to be identity theft. And one of the reasons for that is that we're not very good at protecting ourselves.
I've been listening to these Reddit stories where people in your family steal your identity and take out credit cards and loans. It was shocking, but I guess nothing's sacred anymore.
No, just unfortunately, just like everything else, so often the victim of identity theft was, it was a family member, a close friend, somebody that they knew, a business coworker. So that intimate setting and environment makes it very, very easy, unfortunately, for that to happen. There's a certain amount of trust. People get up, they leave their computer open while they're going to the bathroom or something like that, and it's very, very easy for a coworker to gain access to your information. So we need to be careful. Obviously, showing a little bit of trust, but you got to have a little common sense that goes along with that.
Yeah, trust but verify, and treat your passwords and your computer like it's a National Security Administration asset and act accordingly, right?
That's exactly right. Spot on.
Yeah, because, I never leave my phone around, even though the screen might be locked or whatever. I will never leave it around,
Yep. All of our smartphones that's the problem, right? It's they're smart and they house a tremendous amount of non-public information or most sensitive data.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I'm glad we had this talk because who the heck knows, anybody, and I mean anybody with a decent credit score and even a not so decent credit score can be a victim of identity theft.
Absolutely. And one of the things everyone needs to know, and I have mentioned this before on the show, one of the hangovers and good things that, we got from the pandemic and the COVID era was access to our credit reports. So BC, before COVID, we had one free look every 12 months at annualcreditreport.com. Again, that's annualcreditreport.com. We had access to our reports once a year. Now you can check your reports once a week. And I don't think you have to be that crazy, but you should be checking your reports on a regular basis, maybe monthly. And one of the main reasons for that is exactly that. You're looking for red flags of identity theft. And your listeners need to know that one of the easiest red flags to spot are addresses, previous addresses or addresses associated with your name and social security number that you don't recognize. Because one of the first things that these bad actors do is they try and get addresses tied to your name, your social security number. So if and when they're successful at opening up new accounts, that information goes to a different address, not your address. So the sooner you're made aware of the identity theft situation, the easier and faster it will be to resolve that situation. But unfortunately, you have cases where the people didn't realize that they were victims of identity theft for months, if not years. And that really, really makes it difficult to recover. The average person spends about 2 years trying to resolve identity theft issues.
Yeah, how fast can you do that for people? Can you get it done?
Well, we expedite it because unless you have a full-time staff that's working 8, 9, 10 hours a day like we do, it's not easy. And people have to take off work. They miss time at work. They're suffering on that side of things. So it takes a tremendous amount of time. You would think, Kerry, that it would be very easy to just say, listen, it wasn't me. I was a victim of identity theft. Please remove it from my credit report. Please cancel the account, refund my money. It's not that easy. You have to respect the credit bureaus themselves. You have to prove that you're a victim of identity theft. You have to get a police report. You have to file the police report. Look, the reality is no one really ever gets caught. Very, very few of these identity thieves actually get caught and convicted. But we don't need the outcome. We just need a copy of the credit report that will help greatly expedite the process. So again, unfortunately for us, we spend a tremendous amount of time in the office dealing with this for our clients. And we can cut that time down, to days and weeks instead of months and years for people to resolve the issues.
All right. That's really good to know. Appreciate you coming on the show as always, Paul. Just tell us again. Yeah, just tell us again where we find you.
Go to betterqualified.com. Again, that's betterqualified.com.
All right. And the link's in the show notes to this interview on financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Make sure you stop by there, sign up for a free newsletter. Paul, always a pleasure having you on. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Gary.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.